Hello everybody, welcome back to PadFootTD Games. My name is Zach, I'm the voice behind the icon, and today we are back in Virtual Sailor Next Generation again, giving you a little bit of tutorial guide. So let's kind of pick up where we left off. We talked about how to get the ship into the game. We talked about how adjusting custom views. We've talked about how to use cameras. We've talked about moving a ship, some of the buttons. Let's go more into buttons and ship operation, shall we? Let's start with the foremost right now. I've got two docking lines that I have just sitting right here in the water. We'll talk about customization as well. They're just sitting there. They're just bobbing. They're just having a grand old time. I'm just making sure everything's recording. Let's do this. I'm going to click W. Weather. This is your quick key to weather is by pressing W. Now you can make your own. There's some presets here. Rainy, thunder, hail, snow. Great stuff. I've not been up in Alaska when it snowed yet. But you could also go clouds and thunder, rain and thunder. Time to make some crazy stuff. You will kill your laptop if you're using a laptop. Just so we're very clear. What my favorite thing to do, you can do the update real weather. It's a little hit or miss. Is I like to get the real weather. It will automatically switch to the date, the time, and a relative what the weather is in this specific area. Now, reminder, I'm going to show you this quickie in a second. We're just off the coast of Africa. We're not doing anything crazy, so I'm going to adjust the time back to day so we can see it. I am going to make weather go away. So get real weather. We'll also set the time. You can also set the time. Ooh, these are contradictory. Fascinating. Haven't had that before. Get real weather. Usually will give you what you need. So we're here. We're just floating in the ocean. Pretty good gusts going on. We're just here. Let's bring up the controls. Let's get command of this vessel. We are going to click P. P will bring you up the main controls of your vessel if you don't want these, or if you work with a ship that has azipods, but they forgot to put the thruster in. Don't fret, okay? Excuse me. Here's what you need to do. You need to go to Tools. You need to go to Panels. These are the different panels. You have Boat, the azipods, the twins. Of course, then you've got like car, then you got, if you just want compass, you know, these are all custom pieces. So like this car, I've had modified out for one of my sailing vessels, okay? But it all depends on what you want. And these are all different, like this one. This is for a quadricopter, then you got plane. You know, for the ship ones, for this, you can stay up in here. I like the boat twin. That's what I like. If you had one and you're like, I don't remember what the ship had, you can always hit default and it'll go back to it. But these are going to be the two big ones that you're going to get. The azipod system and here. Unfortunately, some of the azipod systems don't have the actual bow thruster built in. That's why I don't use this azipod system. I will always go here and still drive it like an azipod vessel. So that is how you would change your panel. So we have this ship right here, right now. And to turn on the engine, either I can click here and turn on the engine. You'll know that by the sound, which I believe I took out of this one. I don't have headphones on right now, so I don't know. You'll see smoke if it's built into the sim coming out of the funnels. And if it's got a radar system, it will actually start to spin. If you see I turn it off, they stop. On, they start. You can also hit E. That is what I'm doing right now. That is my quick key. A couple of the controls that are on here, I'm going to explain to you what they do. Okay, so we've got nav lights, which you can turn them on from here. But, again, this one's not patched correctly. If you hold down L, this is going to bring you to your lighting menu. If you press Shift and L, that's going to turn on all your lights. So L for the menu, Shift L to toggle on all lights. Now again, that is all lights. You can come in here and you can turn off the cabin and the running lights, anchor lights, the masters, all of it obviously. You know, it's customizable, but it also still depends on the ship. But that is how you do lighting, L or Shift L. Anchoring. Now, you could go here and it took up all of our lines, okay? It docked us. undocked us. If you want to be able to control these individually, which I highly suggest you do, press D. D will open up your docking menu. This is going to be your starboard side of the ship. This is going to be your port side of the ship, as said. When I drop a line... That's weird. When I drop a line, it'll be there. Okay? Drop a line on the other side. It's in there. It's just inside. I didn't do the custom mapping on that. You can actually see the top of it right there. Now, I'll talk to you about rope positions as well. Let me drop all these out. Now, this is what the default comes from Rob's. It just has... It has lines. A little bit of everywhere. And even... Oh, God, where are the back ones? Oh, all the back ones are just inside. That's so weird. So sometimes they'll default to a certain location. I'll show you how to customize these to, again, get the greatest realism. But again, this is how you drop lines and can get lines up. If you want lines up, hold down Shift and press D. It'll bring up everything except 5, 7, 6, and 8. Those are built a little bit differently. If you hit Control D just by default, it'll do the 4 corners, okay? One thing that came in, one of Elon's last things that they put into the sim was my favorite thing, was freeze motion. Now, why do I like that? Well, if I'm coming up to a dock and I drop out lines, unfortunately, as you can see, some of these lines will keep tension, some will not. And they can be adjusted from here. That's less tight, that's tighter, and starts pulling it over. But it can start to lean your ship, and when we don't have control of ballast, it gets a little aggravating trying to get it perfectly. So what I'll do is that once I'm up alongside, you guys have seen it in my videos before, I will hit freeze motion. That freezes the ship in its current location. Okay, so even if it was slightly drifting, or if I can pull, I can tug on it, it's not going to go anywhere. What allows me now to drop my lines, they stay looking like they're perfectly taut. They look nice, okay? Then when I'm ready to leave, I can undo my lines, hit freeze motion, and I am free to the wind to go off where I want to go. Anchoring's the same concept, okay? This is where certain animations are going to be built in. Depends on the vessel if you have any of these actually built in. Some of the payware actually has little things that it can control. But for starboard anchor and port anchor, again, if you have them all set up, they will come from there. All right. So that is the docking menu. So let's do this. This is something that I'd like to do. I'm going to click on V, and this is where the Disney magic is. I'm going to remove that from the sim. I'm going to come in here. Ooh, I'm zoomed in for some reason. Oh, well. I'm going to come up here to the Disney Wonder, the 1999 from Miguel Murdoch. But by far my favorite ship. I say that with quotations around that because Alex has made a beautiful Disney wish, and I've also come upon a beautiful dream and fantasy as well. So let's open this. Now, again, this is one of the most advanced ships that I have in my sim. It is going to take a little while to load. Once in a while, it is possible it can crash. And it will crash from time to time, okay? But we are here on the Disney Wonder. Now, if you look in here, oh my God. First off, it's really dark. That's interesting. Why is it really dark? I don't usually have grayed out windows. That's very interesting. There's something in our source file that is broken. Okay, so what you'll see here, let me pop outside. Even with a good computer right now, this is a little too much for it to handle. Right now I'm at 30 knots because you can see it's trying to get like every bend, every shadow. If I go into graphics, I can turn off shadows. And instantly it gets me up to 45. And then what I'd probably do for this, turn off waves. And now, nice, smooth. I know it might not look as great, and some people don't care. I've seen people play with very small frame rates and stuff like that. It just depends on your style. Now, this part is interesting to me. I've never had the windows grayed out, which makes me wonder if I've accidentally, while talking to you guys, actually flip something. Now, I'm just looking really quick. It shouldn't be that, but I'm going to click on that. That's the only thing that I think that I changed. It's fascinating because, again, you don't know that you'll have these issues until you do. So when I've made a change like that, this is what you need to do. I'm going to make it go away. I'm going to re-add her to the sim. Again, it's been a while since I drove the Disney Wonder as well. So, again, I may have changed something at some point to fit, whether it was a video or something. Yeah, it's still grayed out. Interesting. So usually you can see right out. I've never actually had it where it's blackened. It looks blackened from the outside, but I've never had it do that. You know what it might be? I'm thinking about it. Boop. So it also can do it with the glass. So run it double-sided above water in the cockpit. So since this is what the glass looks like on the outside, that's what it's doing on the inside. But if I pop that, it goes away. That was my other thing. I was like, it depends. Depends what you have to do. Every vessel is going to be different. But here you are on the beautiful Disney Wonder. Now, this is a ship that we've used a lot, so I've got custom views and I've got custom things on it. But what I wanted to be able to show you to go back to it would be the docking lines. So I'm going to show you how to adjust these. Now, docking lines. Bow, bow, bow. Okay, you see that I've got them in custom areas. By default, they can be almost anywhere, but these are my lines, okay? You can see that they're slack because I'm just floating through space right now. If I was to freeze myself, boop, when the lines come out, they stay nice and taut, and they look exactly how you'd like them if you're going for that realism, okay? So, excuse me, my goodness, my voice is going already. Let's talk about editing these, okay? Same thing's going to go for anchor points. Now, I realize I've not put the new anchor file in here. Dang it. That's okay. We'll talk about that in a second. Pick those up. Going back to docking. If you want to edit these, you're going to want to click dock points. From here, it's going to drop you into the water. You can click on point 1, 2, 3, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ready for this? 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are the anchoring points. 13, 14, 15, 16. They're all in here. So if I wanted to adjust point 1, which I have up front, it will select this guy right here. And again, if I click on the screen, so if I click in here, it's what I want to select. Click here to move around for a better view. Come back, click point 1 again. This is an XYZ once again. Okay, you see what I'm doing? So I can move this technically way out here. Hit save. It's going to throw me back. That's okay. I'm going to zoom back in. Click 1. Boop. Okay. So if I customize it that I want it coming out of this well right here. Just enough inside to be able to see, not the end. Click. Save. Zoom back in. 1. Whoops. Always remember to click on the file. So the same thing we had with the view. I want 1. I want 1 to be over here. In save position. Now 1 that was over here will automatically generate over here. This is how you change all of your docking locations. So if you knew that you were going to be doing a big video and you wanted more ropes on one side, you could take the time and move them all over to the starboard side. Move them over to the port side. I've even done that before. That takes a lot of effort to change. Okay? But what I want you to know, I'm going to click in here. This again is the folder. We're going to go to vehicles. We're going to go to 1999, the Disney Wonder. This is what we are driving right now. If you come and click on cables, these are all the coordinates for each one of those positions that we've just edited in the game. Each one of those docking points, all 16 of them, are right here. Why do I bring this up? Again, if you're going to be using the same exact vessel, just a different name, usually Princess or Royal Caribbean, in their same exact ship, just, you know, a different vessel, you can actually copy and paste this cables over. All right? So that is how you adjust docking materials here on any sort of vessel. Now, I'm more into cruise ships and ferries. Ferries, if you click into D and you go over to anchoring, these animations will open up doors. Just not my thing. I have a couple vessels that have a couple special things on them. That's great. I don't do a lot of wind sailing, but it can be a lot of fun. That would be in the sail menu. We're going to click S. Now, specifically for this Disney Wonder menu, you always want auto sail off. Auto sail will move with the wind, and these will automatically adjust where they need to be. For the Disney Wonder, you don't want that, because if you come to sails and you come to the main reef, okay, you have the main reef and jib reef. Here we go. This is your lighting for the Disney Wonder. It is hidden. It is hidden away. It meshes with the vessel, and it fits seamlessly. It's amazing. You can also, you can kind of see them up there, but I'll move this so you can see it really up front. Deck chairs, okay, and tables. So if we were to do all that, the reason auto sail is off, let me show you what happens. You're not gonna let me. So it thinks that it's a sail moving around. So as the wind would blow, it would mess everything else up. So make sure auto sail is off, these are over, and that's there. Again, just going a little bit with sail. Let's talk about buttons and quick keys and things like that. To be able to show you better, I'm going to click on graphics and I'm going to open up the console right here on the side, just so that we know the keystrokes that we are taking. So, Q. This is going to bring up every ship that you have. This is a gallery. If you select the ship, it'll actually put the ship into the sim. All right. W. That will work for weather. E is for engine, obviously. Like I said, we have smoke from the stacks. We have spinning radars. R. This is radar. Now, this works very well when you're closer to land. I use this at certain docking procedures. Some ship actually have this built in already at the helm of the ship. T. Never really figured out what this is. It seems like weapon aiming. Y. Now, that one becomes very important with the Disney ships, and we'll talk about it right here, right now. God, how long has these been on? Huh, hold on. That's actually really interesting. Have you guys not had sound this whole time? Man, I do love me some Windows updates. That's interesting. Well, now you can. At least you can hear the wind. That's actually really aggravating. Also, if you want to ever do streaming or anything like that, Windows sucks. Every computer sucks, but they'll have an update like that one that obviously turned off my audio. Why? I don't know. I don't mess with my audio. Regardless. Okay, back here. If you click Y, it brings up the weapons manual. Now, I can make a tutorial eventually how to make custom sounds that you can put in here. For me, on one of my Disney Wonders that I actually have in here that I use on the regular, I actually have the full shipboard safety video announcement actually built in there. But let me show you really quick. So if you hit next, these are going through the weapons. The weapons are sounds, and I'll show you where those are stored and how, because that comes really important for making custom sounds. We'll make a whole nother video on it if people want it, but you gotta let me know. So if we just have it selected on here and you hit shoot or enter, I have this set as just the announcement chime. You can also have it, this was the original. Oops, sorry.
This is the duty officer speaking from the bridge. We'll be sounding our ship's horn from the forward funnel. For those of you on the open decks at this time, you may want to cover your ears. Again, we'll be sounding our ship's horn from the forward funnel, and for those of you that are on the open decks at this time, you may want to cover your ears. Thank you for your attention.
All right, once we've done that, I've selected the next cue, again, by going next in preview. Beautiful. Just like that. That is why that is the weapons. Let's take a little side tangent on that, shall we? We're going to open this up. We are going to go here. This is the Disney Wonder folder. Eventually, I can go through what every single one of these things mean. But the thing that I want you to know right here is stores. Now, this becomes very important. If you open stores, like you've seen here, let me open that again. Announcement. When wish, muster, rail. Stores is these. Exactly what they are. These need to be typed out, and I'm going to explain why. This controls this. Okay? If it is not typed up here, it will not show here. This is the middleman to say, I need this grabbed from a folder that I'll show you in a second, and I need you dropped over here. Okay? Where to find those? Let's actually do this. We're going to go open up another tab just so we can mess around. We're just in Virtual Sailor itself, okay? Remember, we've got commons, we've got scenery, we've got vehicles. Where you're going to want to go is weapons. Now, you'll see I have all kinds of things in here. When you wish original, okay? You guys see where that's coming from? When horn underscore when you wish original. It is this. It is saying I want you to retrieve this folder, which inside are going to have two different things. It's going to have a weapon profile and usually one or two.
This is the duty officer speaking from the bridge.
Built-in sounds. Okay, usually one's a spare that somebody will keep in there. That is how you do it. Horns can be dropped in here. Horn / whatever you want it to be. Okay, like literally, whatever you want it to be. I can explain at some point when I was trying to make custom ones, and I'll explain why these didn't work. You see I have custom things? You need them in here in your stores file to be able to show up within the sim. Okay? And again, all you got to do is literally copy, paste, if I can get my fingers to work, change whatever the name is, and it will show up in there if you reload the ship or reload the sim. But that's something that's really important. Okay? So we've talked about horns. We've talked about views. We've talked about how to get a ship into the game, how to be able to actually operate it. I could go through the detail of how to actually drive a ship, but you can just watch my videos for that. Let's continue our walk through the keyboard. Y is weapons. Okay. O, it's going to be your water settings. Okay. It's just another quick key to be able to get through it. P, we've talked about it. This is your controls. Okay. As we go to A, this is another very important one. This is how to control autopilot. Now I'm going to show you two different buttons here that I guess should be really important to be able to put autopilot and how to actually get them to work. So let's do this. I am going to press M. I'm going to press P. M is our map, okay? Not only can you look around at different places, you can actually teleport from there. Let's actually do that. Let's not be out in the middle of the ocean anymore. Let's go, you know what? Let's go down to Castaway Key. So she can be off in our corner. We'll drop ourselves. What we're going to do is I'm going to click right here on the map. I'm going to say move to point. Yes. Now it's going to take a little while because it has to reload the ship. It needs to bring up the map textures, and it actually needs to put you in that orientation. So it'll sit here as non-responding for a moment. That was actually nice and quick. I love that. Ooh, and a beautiful sunset. We're going to make it realistic. We're going to set to the actual time right now. Beautiful day down here in Castaway. And I'm going to turn on the engine. Okay. So as you can see, beautiful ship, ready to go. I want to put it in a different direction for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clockwise this ship to face the other way while I'm explaining this. So, here. there's a handful of things you can do. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can also just do that with the scroll wheel. Center, it'll center you back over your ship if you start going around the world. Move selected. We'll show you that here in the waypoints in a second. Move to point, I just showed you. Let's talk about setting a route. Now, for me, let's say we want to start heading back towards Cape Canaveral. So I know that I want my first waypoint to be here. Add waypoint. Always will start with A. And I know that I want to go up past Freeport. I know that I want to go up the coast. And I can actually, for this one, for lack of what I want to do, there. This is my route. If I set autopilot and I speed up time, which we'll talk about here in a second, it will actually go all the way to C, all by itself, which is how you can jump from one place to another. That's adding waypoints. If you delete them, it deletes them one at a time as you go through. Okay? If you're doing a lot of technical work and you're somewhere that takes a little bit more care, you can actually select a certain waypoint to jump to next. Okay? So if I was to click, right now it wants to go to A. That's where it wants to go. If I clicked B, if I clicked it, I can say select. And that's where it would want to go next. But for this, I want to go to A. So I'm going to select A. It's changed. I'm going to show you what the move selected is. Move select works on either dragging a ship or dragging a waypoint. I can drag this waypoint wherever I want it to go. Okay? I'm just clicking, dragging with move selected on. Make sure you deselect that so you don't end up in a horrible position. We're here. I'm going to close this. We've almost done a complete 180. I'm going to turn off the thrusters by hitting spacebar. Now, I'm actually going to counteract that because I want to show you something. While I'm using controls, if I hit spacebar, it will slow these down. For throttle, which is 5 for reverse, 6 for forward, if you hold down shift and hit spacebar, it goes to 0. Same thing with steering. Spacebar, spacebar. Okay? So, for this one, A is selected. I'm pointed in the right direction. I'm going to click autopilot. I am going to hit autopilot. You can also hit Shift A. It'll fire into autopilot. You select a speed. Now with this one, I have a lot of things that I haven't edited with the Disney Wonder, including like this engine sound and everything like that. But essentially what it's going to do is it's going to follow my waypoints. It's going to follow the speed. And it'll go all the way back up to Florida just because I asked it to. That is using autopilot. Okay? We're going to let that run here a little bit so I can go through a couple other controls. S, that is the sails function. Okay, if you're using a sailing ship, that's how you get it. If you're using the Disney Wonder, this is how you get your lights. D is for docking. We've gone through this menu. G. I'm actually going to click. Don't ignore what it's doing there. This is your GPS map. Again, don't super worry about that. H is for HUD. Again, it doesn't really work for this because we are a ship, not a plane. L is for lights. Okay, we've talked about that before. One of the things that I actually want to talk about lights. Let's go here to weather. Let's go to nighttime. Let's go to sails. Let's make it look pretty. But again, I'm missing some lights. If I turn on lights, Control L. One thing that I want to let you know, wherever your character is, so either it's on 2, 1, 3, or 4, that's what cabin light is. You turn that off, it won't have that glow anymore. Just so you know. One of the other things that you might want to do if you don't have like a beautiful open night like this, to make it a little bit more realistic if you need to see it, you can actually hit flood. And it just kind of floods around the ship, depending on how you want it to look. If I'm close to shore, and I know that there'd be a lot of lights feeding onto the ship, I will turn this on. But the Disney Wonder has a beautiful set of lights built in. So that's what I wanted to be able to show you with that. So we'll do that. We'll turn that off. We'll make that go away. We'll go back to daytime to continue our rundown. So, M is for map. We've kind of gone over that. And again, this is a depth radar. Depends on some of the stuff you do. B would be for brake, but we don't actually use brakes here. V is for vehicle. C is for your conning display. This is kind of like all the controls of the ship. If you have a second monitor, if I did, I'd actually have it off to the side, just to have all the monitors being able to kind of keep track of everything. Z and X, this is actually to zoom. All right? That is your basic with your keyboard. You can technically use your left and right arrows for steering. Right now I'm in autopilot, so it is going to be driving itself to get to that waypoint. Let's go through some more of the controls. F1, interior. F2, exterior. 3, normal or wide FOV. I like wide. That's just how I like to be. I get a little bit more in my eyeball. Okay? Now, let's talk about speeding up time. Hold on. I'm moving some stuff around. Control F4. This is how you adjust time. I'm just clicking it up. We're moving at 21% of what the actual is. Now, autopilot sometimes can get a little lost with the speeds. You got to monitor it. If it goes past what you wanted, undo it, reselect it. It'll get right where you want it. So for here, for the nice cruising speed for the Disney Wonder leaving Castaway, would be at 18 knots. So that's what I am allowing it to do as it goes. And it'll just continue to go all the way through this. Now you'll see we're switching a map right now. Perfect. This is actually perfect timing. You do not, if you are going to switch maps, okay, you can see that it buffers and it has to think. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on what you're trying to load in. The Disney Wonder is something that has a great amount of detail in it, okay? Do not be going with your speed. Don't be going much more than 30 times if you're going to be changing map locations. For here, like this is a box, there's a you can see where the secondary boxes are. Temporarily, I could go 100. Here's the problem, though. The sim starts forgetting what it's trying to do, and you'll start getting this zigzag pattern with your ship, which, if you're just trying to kill down time, feel free to do that. I usually stay around 20 to 30. I like 20, because I got myself in a death spiral here. Hold on. It keeps everything a little bit happy, and I still got a little bit of that left and right thing because it's trying to just get center. But it gets me from point A to point B. Control F3 can bring us back down. Okay? To traveling in real time. I also have this gone in the normal, in the next file too. Little things that we do and we live and we learn and we go through. I'm going to hit E just to keep it a little bit quieter as we sail away. But there you have it, everybody. That's all the buttons. That's all the controls that I use. I can talk a little bit more. So we have vehicle, we have weather, we have position, views, animals. You can add stuff in, water detail, land detail, scripts, replay. This is what actually gets very important, and we're going to click on this right here, right now. If I click replay, I can come back. It's going to jump from one location to another. That's why I try not to do that, and that's okay. But this whole time that we've been playing as a Disney Wonder, as soon as I put it down, it has been recording. From where we've gone from point A to point B to point C to point D. It is recording. And here, if you look, this is before this is before we got moved. It thinks that we're supposed to be over there. That's fine. Because it switched. Let me do this. Let me do this actually. I'm gonna tell it that it's okay. Let's go to replay. Because I backed out of that. Let's do. So regardless, so what happens is if you change scenery, it's going to do the same movements, but it's going to use it in the scenery block that you're in. Since we did get moved from the scenery block from Castaway, while I was showing you the other thing, it gets wonky. But let me show you this. So if we were going, you can turn off the path so you don't see it, and you can just hit play. This will play it in real time, what your ship was doing and where. Okay, you can also move to a certain time. You can see where we turned around the ship and then we got it to move on its own. And then you can see that we're playing with the lights and everything like that. That's replay. Okay. I can do another video specifically on replay, but so the idea for you to be able to play with it, I want you to play with it, I want you to learn it, would be there. Tools, the map, the radar, the docking, the lights, we've actually all clicked on that as well. We've talked about design in the vehicle. Network, I've never messed with it. We've talked about options, and we've talked about getting help. The last bit for me, so I'm looking here as another 30 minutes has gone by, I want to talk to you about these folders really quick. Again, try not to change anything. Don't just be like, oh, I wanted this to be the magic, so I'm going to change names. First off, a lot of stuff actually won't transfer and it won't work. But I want to be able to tell you what some of these are. Boat. This is starting to tell you the exact details, whether it's the altitude, the height, the fuel time, the horsepower, everything. This is one of the boats versus the vehicle. As we go through, you need all of these files. These are all the textures, all the paints, everything within the ship. Box we talked about. That is the rough edges of the ship in a square. Cables is your docking points. Elements, we've talked about that as well. These are more personalized things. Again, don't mess with anything. You'll start losing things. Lights. Lights are not all of the lights. For lights, it is actually the location of all these. If you hit Control L, all these lights that turn on are in here because it goes off of color and location. This is a pain in the ass to do. Okay, I'm giving you a heads up. I've done ships where I've put them in myself because I had a ship that had none. If you want to go down this road, you can. If you want me to make a video on it, I can make a video on it. You just got to tell me. Just know it is quite a pain. So that's what the lights do. Parts, again, you don't need to worry about any of that. It's just, again, structure of the ship. Smoke. Now, smoke became an interesting one because when I first got this ship, it still had smoke coming out of the front funnels. Now, the front funnels, for those of you who don't know here on the Disney Wonder, they're not funnels. It's fake. It's hollow. You used to have a sports club, then I had teen club, and then I think they've made it into something else. Sports bar. So these are fake. So they had smoke coming out of them. If you open that smoke file, again, it's using an XYZ system. This is where all the smoke is coming out of the funnels. If you had a ship and you're like, they don't give off that much smoke, you can either eliminate some of these if you want to stop from a side to side. You can also change the color, by the way, just so you guys know in that one. That one's very interesting to be able to do. Red, green, blue, okay? For mixing of different colors for the exhaust. But if you're on a ship and you're like, it actually clean burns or it goes through the propeller on the side, you can actually just delete these all you want. You can also move them around. Some ships I've had to move them around because they're close to where the funnels are, but I want that exact real feel. Stores we talked about. These are all the custom sounds for Ship Sim. Vehicle, just like the boat file, this is just a bunch of the configs of horsepower and RPM and altitude of the ship and everything like that. And then, of course, our custom views, which, again, you can move if you choose to. Why do you have 34 views? What happened here? Hold on. Where did you all come from? Uh-huh. I honestly have no idea what these are doing here. Like, to be 100% honest, I don't know. Some of these make sense, some of these don't. That's very strange. I've never had that before. But that's a little bit look at Virtual Sailor. I hope that answers a lot of questions. I really hope that I didn't miss anything. I know I've had people talk to me before about, oh, how do I, specifically for this one, let's see, where are you? I know my alphabet. Maybe I don't. Oh, I changed the default, that's why. Let's go to something else. Let's go to Sun Princess. Sun Princess, all right. So if we come down to rope, right here. This is a blue rope. For my ships, if you notice, my default by the sim is yellow, for Disney yellow. But I've actually gotten to the point of every ship gets its own rope. So really, essentially what I did was I took the rope file out of like Sun Princess, I put it into my paint program that I have, I made it yellow, and all I have to do is drop that into the Disney folder. Same thing with chain. Chain A, chain B. This is for the anchor. If you drop them in, they will change. By default, they'll just be default ropes usually. If you put in a rope and you put in a chain, these are what will show up in those vessels. Okay, so let me actually show you really quick. Let's click here. Let's do that. We're going to go down to Sun. It's going to take a second to load. We're going to get this in here. I'm just going to show you, I just want to show you the chain really quick. Now, every ship is different. Every model is different. Every builder is different. I highly recommend Rob's. Check out the hang sim. Okay, so for Princess, if I send out the ropes, they're blue. They're Princess blue. If I send out the anchor, they have a chain. I have a really nice black one that came with another ship that has a thicker chain instead of what seems like these little ones. But again, if you wanted to, you could also color these. That's going into not the super amount of detail of like how to add a flag, how to do all these other things. They're just things that take time. But I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that you're able to take this in. I hope that it's got your curiosity to work here in Virtual Sailor Next Generation. And if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to try to answer them. I say try because maybe I might not have the answer, but we won't know until we try. But that's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoy what you saw, we do try to get a video out here on the channel every single day, and I really do appreciate your continued support. But with that, I thank you guys so much for coming out to this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.